Hello everyone, I'm Denise Oosthuizen, founding editor of WorldWiseMag.com, Africa's leading digital interactive wealth and success magazine. And next to me today is Mr. Herman Mashaba. He is a self-made entrepreneur, investor, best known as founder of the iconic hair care brand Black Like Me, and also author of his autobiography Black Like You. Herman, those are quite some exciting achievements, but let's start with the beginnings. Growing up, what was your big dream and what motivated you in that direction?
Look, unfortunately, I was born at the wrong time, 1959, right in the hard middle of the apartheid regime. And when I started seeing what was happening in my life, our concern at the time was really more to really get our independence. And did one ever one day believe that I would one day really see democracy or see a freedom in my life? It was really quite a remote possibility. So it was really quite difficult in the beginning of my upbringing. Really focused on education in the early stages of my life until I went to university. But unfortunately, I was only at university for 1.5 years because second year of my studies, the university was disrupted by the army, surrounded by the army 6 o'clock in the morning, and we asked to leave. But then, with developments totally outside one's control, ended up working, finding a job as an employee with no education, with no actual the business experience and so forth. Yeah, ended up fortunate enough, I was one of the few black person who can read and write, and I got a clerical job with one of the grocery distribution companies in Pretoria.
And you started Black Like Me, but that was during the country's most challenging times, actually. And the question for you is, what do you think are the main reasons that you were actually so successful at that time?
Yeah, no, what happened is I worked for this particular company for 7 months, and then my second job was for another company, furniture manufacturing company. I worked for them for 23 months. But it was during that period when I actually realized that I was running out of time. I wasn't really obviously getting any younger, and I really needed my freedom. And because as I was growing up, I thought I would attain my freedom through education, but with that dream obviously shattered. I decided I'm going to use the business angle as a way to really attain my total freedom. But then, unfortunately, at the time, the black South Africans were not regarded as South Africans. We were not allowed to go into business. But I decided, with or without this evil system, I'm going to do it anyway. That's how what happened. It started saving money, bought myself a car, and became a commission sales rep, selling products from the boot of my car, not really employed by anyone. I had to really determine my own future. I had to really determine my own path going forward. And yeah, and that's when I started actually making money, and in the process selling different type of products, glasses, dinner services, linen and so forth, fire detection system. I ended up selling hair products for one company here in Johannesburg on a commission basis. It took me 19 months to really see this huge potential. And I decided I'm not going to do it for someone else, I must do it on my own. And that's how in 1984 the concept of Black Like Me was conceived. And January of 1985 we started production in Garankuwa in a 200 square meter factory. And obviously everything else is history.
Yes, but what was instrumental to success? Would you say it was the team that you put together? The fact that you thought maybe out of the box in security finance, what was it?
In fact, if I really look at our success the last almost just under 30 years, I think it had to really do with, I had partners, all of us were hardworking, all of us wanted to make money. We were all capitalists, we all wanted to make money, and we wanted to really work for our money. We had a great name. I mean, this Black Like Me name was just magical from day one. Very really calling name, really wonderful. And yes, and I think we produce good quality products, and we produce them at a good at affordable prices. We've always really targeted the mass market. We really wanted to really identify with the market, with the mass market. So we produce good quality, affordable products. And I think our hard work paid off in the sense that it really gave us an edge over our competitors because we are doing it ourselves, whereas we're competing with companies which were owned by big multinational companies, and they had their own reps. Whereas in our particular case, this was our product, this was our lives. So we had to really put everything into it, and fortunate enough, it paid off and it worked.
Looking back, what would you say was your greatest challenge and the greatest risk that you've taken?
I think the greatest, business challenges have always been there yesterday, they're here today, and they'll always be there tomorrow. So I think every generation will encounter that different challenges. I think for us in particular, for me, when we started our company, was really the evil system of apartheid that restricted our movement. You can imagine starting a business as a black South African with movements very restricted with the pass laws, because those years us as black people, we had to carry pass laws on a 24-hour basis where your white employer had to sign it on a monthly basis that you are employed. And at the same time, you had to be in a particular area. So that really made it really very difficult. But even with that, one had to really find a way to maneuver the system. At the same time, we had the state of emergency in our communities. Everywhere, where every time you go into a township or a particular area, by the time you get out, there's roadblocks, there's the boycotts and so forth. Really quite challenging the period of our lives. But as I say, fortunate enough, things really worked out for us, and everything else is history. We now live in a new democratic dispensation, and we really hope that we can really keep this democracy alive for another 20, another 40, another 100 years.
What was the biggest lesson or something that you've learned during those years that you still, that you used in your business venture?
Well, the thing is, I've really been learning from the time I came into this world. So learning, it's something that is a process. I've learned so many things about, because when I went into business, I had no business experience whatsoever. But then I think one had to really learn to really have the discipline, learn to really stabilize your life so that you don't allow your personal outside issues to really affect your business, and also learn the fact that you've got to work hard, work exceptionally and extraordinary hard. And I think, but fortunate enough, we had lots of fun in the process.
You're a big believer in a family, and you have been married for like almost
32 years now.
32 years now, wow. So how important is your personal life to your success?
I was really very fortunate, actually. I look back at my life at the age of 22, when I decided to go into business. I took a decision, a conscious one for that matter, that I needed to stabilize my life. And I was really lucky that I had this beautiful woman around me, and we got married, and we're lucky that this month we celebrated 32 years of our marriage. And I really look at the part that my wife and this marriage has played in my life has been phenomenal. I don't really believe that I would have achieved even half of what I have done if it was not really because of the support that I received from my family, my wife in particular.
What other interests do you have outside the business? Because I know that you also like to give back to the community.
Well, obviously of interest, I play golf. I try and play golf once or so the week, every Saturday when I'm around. I love the sport, though I'm obviously a bad golfer, but I have lots of fun with people I play golf with. Yes, and I play tennis from time to time. I play piano. And yes, try as much as possible to really serve mankind, using my privileged position. I chair 2 huge foundations in this country. The one has really been the Philben Foundation, which has been running for the last 16 years. Great foundation with touching on a daily basis 5,000 kids all over the country, all the 9 provinces. And recently, the last 2 years, took over as the chairman of the Free Market Foundation to see if one can really play a role in getting our communities out there, our people out there, to adopt this free market system, because that's a system that's going to really give them that outright freedom that every human being aspires to have.
Okay, going back to business, you've diversified from Black Like Me, different investments, including the most recent company, which is where we are today, Lepatsi Investments. Can you just talk more about what actually, what you're doing? Yes.
Yeah, what happened is, since 1994, when the new South Africa was born, and we started getting this, what we call Black economic empowerment. And I was fortunate enough, I was one of the people always approached on a daily basis by my white counterparts looking for Black investors in their businesses. 2001, the government, Parliament started debates around coming out with legislation to govern the Black economic empowerment activities. And at the same time, really pressure started mounting on me with white South Africans also having pressure to really have Black investors. And I was fortunate enough that my corporate advisor brought in a very exciting investment for me, where he was an advisor and put me in touch with these individuals. And I made my first investment in 2002, buying the share in Ferrochrome's Melt and Krugersdorp. I then bought into other companies in subsequent to that, which really brought a totally different dimension to my life. And obviously with the formation of a company called Leswiking Minerals and Energy, and then later on formed a company called Patsima, working with other investors. At the same time, all the time still running Black Like Me. And obviously, as I said, my life business perspective and opportunities really were becoming exciting. And 2005, that's when I took a decision to sell 50% of Black Like Me to friends and competitors in Pretoria, AMCA Products, and closed my factory, outsourced my manufacturing and distribution to AMCA, and became a non-executive chairman of AMCA. And so the last 10 years really focus on my investments. So, and obviously with investment, I don't just really do BE investments. I do all kinds of investments. In fact, BE investments, if they come to my way, that's fantastic, because then I can really use my black skin to negotiate the price. But I really look after my funds, invest in opportunities coming my way, mainly really focusing on investing in existing businesses, but we prefer small businesses requiring capital or whatever to really take them to the next level. So I work with the three of my colleagues, four of us. We've operated like this for the last 10 years. Really very exciting with the investments in various sectors of the South African economy. So we have fun. At the same time, it gives me and affords me an opportunity to really pay back to society by the two foundations that I've just really mentioned, where I spend a lot of my time and money in them, and a lot of other investment, the charity work that one does, that be in education and so forth. But yeah, so it's really been an exciting life. And I'm really looking forward to the next 20-30 years of the balance of my life.
So what is next for Herman Mashaba?
Well, what's next? Look, I think I've actually made public pronouncements to the fact that I would really like to really see myself spending more of my time really dealing with two matters that are really close to my heart, because I think as a privileged human being, I believe one has to find ways to really contribute to and really make life easier for future generations. One issue that I'm committed to really playing a role in is to actually promote what I call the capitalist system, a system that allows all of us as human beings to be free to do what we do best and really be the best we can really be. So that is the reason why I'm the chairman of the Free Market Foundation, because it's just a foundation. What we do, we're there to promote and foster an open society, free markets, the rule of law. We like to really live in a country where there's there's a rule of law, press freedom, and all these beautiful things that human beings can really be left alone. And that's really what I think I'm going to be spending most part of my life doing. And secondly, the one issue that I believe that I need, and I'm going to really be focusing energies on really making sure that as society we must be always vigilant against the racism. because I lived half of my youth life under the repressive type of system, and I really do not really want to really see racism coming back at any point in time for as long as I'm alive, and also really making sure that the future generations can be aware of it. So those are two aspects that I feel I'd really like to really spend as much of my time as possible to concentrate on. At the same time, yes, I still have to really make a living, but my privileged position in the last 30 years has really made it possible for me that I can really play a role so that the future generations can inherit a freer, better country and space than what I was born into.
You had various achievements and numerous awards. And what will be the most important achievement for you, and do you have any regrets?
Most important achievement, I think I honestly believe the last 30 years of my life have really been extremely privileged. I can't really single any particular one. I've always been recognized. My business was successful from inception. Yes, I've had lots of turbulences from time to time, but I'm fortunate enough, for me, turbulences is part and parcel of our lives. So when I encounter turbulences, it doesn't really worry me, it doesn't really concern me, because it's something that I'm always prepared for. So I think definitely I don't really believe that I've got any regrets in my life. I'm always excited about the future.
What is your view on wealth and success?
Wealth and success, I think, for me, success is not really around having a strong balance sheet or driving or having the nicest house. I think for me, success, it goes beyond that. The reason why I've committed the balance of my life in promoting these two ideals is to really make it possible for other people, my kids in particular, to ensure that they can be better than I am. And I'd really like to really be judged on the people around me. If the day when I'm no longer here, people coming after me, are they going to really have a freer space? And I think that's a kind of success that I'd like to really be judged on. The bank balance, it's really one thing, but a lot of us, and I know a lot of people with very strong balance sheet that for me, I would not want to really have a cup of tea with. And I know so many people who are not materially rich, but people who are spiritually rich, and I think for me, spiritual richness, it's really something that matters to me. At the same time, as much as I'm a very strong believer and a promoter of a capitalist system, because the capitalist system is just to really make sure that people are free from being dominated by others. But at the same time, I think for me, spiritual achievement that's really for me something that I actually value and value quite deeply.
What is your message for aspiring African entrepreneurs and business people?
Please, I think to ensure that you don't really have government dominating your lives. The biggest mistake we can make as Africa is to allow governments to control our lives. The less government intervention in our lives, the better. Because human beings are made naturally to really be independent animals. Absolutely, we need to really live in an environment where there's a rule of law, and that's where we need the government to really play a role. But we don't really need government in our lives. We've got to try as much as possible, and we actually not try, we've got to do it. Let's really promote a system where we have as less government involvement in our lives as possible. And once we, as Africa, we can achieve that, this country, this continent can really be the best one day.
Thank you, Herman. For more inspirational videos and stories, go to our YouTube channel, that's WealthWise TV, and visit our website, www.wealthwisemag.com. Thank you.